My boss sent me home, and the next day, HR called to offer me unpaid leave, which was their nice way of saying, don't come back until you get your shit together. Without any income coming in and the medical bills still piling up from before, I started calling bankruptcy attorneys because there was no other way out of the hole I was in. Dilly came over one afternoon to help me sort through paperwork, and while she was going through her old phone looking for anything that might help our case, she suddenly went completely white. She'd found a voicemail from my mother that she'd never deleted, dated just 2 weeks after Pia's diagnosis, saying, "We won't be needing your kidney after all," in this cheerful voice like she was canceling a dinner reservation. We played it for Winifred the next day, and she literally jumped out of her chair because this was exactly the kind of evidence we needed to prove my parents knew about the kidney offer from the very beginning. She filed an amended complaint that same afternoon, adding new charges and damages, and within 48 hours my parents' lawyer was calling to request mediation, which Winifred said meant they wanted to settle before this got any worse for them. I had to sell everything I owned just to keep the lights on and pay for groceries, starting with my grandmother's jewelry that I'd been saving for Pia, then my laptop, my TV, the nice couch I'd bought when things were better, even the dining room table where we used to eat breakfast together. The apartment got emptier every week until I was basically living with a mattress on the floor and eating off paper plates, and somehow the empty rooms matched exactly how I felt inside. Rhea kept scheduling sessions even though I told her I couldn't pay, and we spent most of the time working through what she called survivor's guilt, which was apparently why I kept replaying every moment wondering what I could have done differently. I kept thinking about all the times I'd asked about the transplant list and accepted their vague answers, all the times I should have pushed harder or asked more questions or just called Dilly myself instead of letting my parents control everything. The extended family started picking sides once the lawsuit became public knowledge, and suddenly cousins I'd grown up with were calling me vindictive and selfish for attacking my parents during their time of grief. My mother's sister sent me a long email about how families should stick together and handle things privately, while my father's brother posted on Facebook about how some people just want money from tragedy. How did the parents know exactly when to tell Dilly they wouldn't need her kidney if they were supposedly just finding out about the match? Only Dilly and 2 cousins on my dad's side actually supported me. Everyone else either went silent or actively turned against me. The mediation was scheduled for the following month, but my parents' lawyer kept trying to push it back, filing for extensions and claiming they needed more time to prepare, even though Winifred said they were just stalling. Winifred called me into her office 3 weeks before the scheduled date and spread out a stack of papers across her desk. She pointed to different numbers on the pages and explained how these things usually went. Most families settled for way less than what they deserved because the emotional cost of fighting was too high. She showed me cases where parents got away with paying almost nothing after causing real harm to their kids. Her finger moved down a list of settlement amounts from other cases, and none of them came close to covering what those families had lost. She warned me that my parents would probably offer something insulting like $10,000 and act like they were being generous. I left her office feeling sick but determined not to give in. Every Sunday morning I drove to the cemetery and sat by Pia's headstone for hours. The grass was still new and hadn't grown in thick yet. I brought fresh flowers each time and threw away the dead ones from the week before. I told her about the case and how her grandparents were still trying to avoid taking responsibility. The cemetery was quiet except for birds and the wind through the trees. It was the only place where the rage inside me settled down enough that I could think straight. Other people visited graves nearby, and we nodded at each other but never talked. I sat there until my legs went numb and then drove home to an empty apartment. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived from my parents' lawyer.